Welcome to another episode of Until It's Done, a devoted podcast. I'm your host, Dana Lynn Kay. I'm back in the studio, part 2 with Rachel Schwartz.
Hi.
Nutrition coach. And we just had a part 1 that if you guys didn't listen to it, it doesn't matter like whether you're a mom, juggling, struggling, whatever, like listen to that episode because it's really for everyone who has a busy life. And Rachel and I really see eye to eye with all these topics. We follow each other on Instagram. She's local and we decided to like bring it to the studio to have some really fun chats. And I'm going to talk to you about nutrition today and how I think it's overcomplicated, like really what people need to do to, because of social media. You and I hit on that in the first episode about how we're almost paralyzed as to like what do we do? What's right? What's wrong? And since you are a nutrition coach and your platform does have you have a lot of fun kind of educating people on the fact that like let's not overcomplicate this and you can have balance in your life. You don't have to give everything up. So I want to like talk to you about that like freedom of like how you can have it all.
That's like the key word right there, balance, which so many people struggle with.
Yeah.
They can't, and it's not that they can't balance too much. It's like they almost can't accept balance because we're coming from, past years of like all or nothing. Yes, no, black or white, on, off, good, bad. I mean, you hear it all the time. You're being so good. I'm being so bad. I'm doing this and I'm good. It's just like, it kills me. Because also I was that person and I lived so many years of my life, honestly, up until the past like 15 years and I'm 40 years old. It took me well into adulthood and that's why I became a coach ultimately, right? Because it's like we had these things ingrained and whether it was like in the 80s or 90s or it's now with all of this insanely confusing, polarizing information, it just comes out in all these different forms. And honestly, like I feel bad for people because they really just don't know what to do.
It's like too much information.
It's too much and it's too all over the place and who do I believe and da-da-da. And not no one. I mean, there are people that talk about it, us included, but it's like what we really have to get down to are the basics, simplifying, taking the guesswork out, not overcomplicating and knowing that there is a formula to it, but it's not as hard as people think.
Right. People look at it's like I'm on this weight loss journey and like I've got to make all these sacrifices and all these things and I'm working and I'm working and I'm working. And it's like, and I used to be there because I used to think like, okay, so just like what you said, where people talk like, God, I used to be so on and I was on and I was going to my class and I was like eating like a salad every day and I was having my water and I was doing my stuff. And then like this happened and then I just fell off and then I gained my 30 pounds back and then like here I am again. And I'm like, well, so like everything was going great. And then you just like cold turkey stopped everything. Like no more salads, no more water, no more going to the classes. And like, we just changed everything back to, what?
Well, the reason why so many people struggle with this is because the way that they go about doing it initially is completely unsustainable and unrealistic. So it's like, yeah, of course you're going to fail. And of course it's going to be short term if you're eating fucking poached chicken and steamed spinach and, trying to starve yourself, not prioritizing your meals and then binging on snacks later on and over exercising and obsessing about every little thing. Like that may work for a very short term, but it doesn't work. People are always like, I'm going to go back to that diet that worked. It's like, it didn't work. Now we're back exactly where we started. So like, why don't we develop a plan and something that we can actually stick to that will not only lead you during your fat loss journey, but then also ultimately keep you in maintenance for life. Yes. Because that's what we are like living proof of. Yep. We just live. We live healthfully. We still have rules and guidelines in place and sacrifices, but we eat real food and we also have some treats and we also have some booze. I don't know. Do you drink alcohol? I don't know.
Just
about
like socially.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like you can literally have your cake and eat it too. Yeah. But like there's strategy. So people want to take not the easy way out. Scratch that. People want to take the fast route, right? Like the fast way to success, which it might be fast for like 1 month and then you're back to fucking square one. So it's not fast anymore.
Right.
So when there is a more sustainable, slower approach, people tend to get fed up. They tend to not think things are moving quickly enough. Then they throw in the towel. Then they fail because it's not working. It's not working. And it's like if they just didn't throw in the towel, their next change would be right around the corner.
Just keep going. Exactly. That's exactly. And it's not until you probably get to where you and I are that you see that, because when you're in it and you just want the weight gone. Because I know, like, it's the worst. Because you're just like, I just have 40 pounds or I just have whatever, you know, and it's like, I just want it off. And then if I can just get it off, then I'll just like keep it off and then everything will be great. And it's like, okay, that's a great plan. But it's like, no, that's not, because like, yeah, you can definitely crash it off. I don't think it's gonna stay off. And then what you did to get that crash off, you can't, like you said, you can't sustain.
People don't want to learn. This is an education process. It's an implementation process. It is a trial and error. It is experimentation, and it is a patience.
And it's like a letdown to hear. When people, if I paid a coach right now, like say I had like 50 pounds to lose, and I paid a coach, and they're like, okay, you're gonna eat, you know, a ton of calories, you know, say 2,500 calories, and you're going to only walk 30 minutes a day, whatever. I'd be like, what?
Right. That is so many.
No, and I'd say, that is so many. And like, I need more exercise. Like, it's like if you aren't put through torture and hell, you feel like you're not doing the job, you're not going to get the job done. And it's like, no, you can. It's just going to be longer lasting.
It's also kind of, I mean, I don't know if funny is the word, but people have gotten to wherever they are at whatever point that is for them. And they don't realize that took a long time to get to. So it's like you were putting all this time, not realizing, you know, it's creeping up, whether you're just in a maintenance where you're chasing your tail where you don't want to be because you're 30 pounds heavy or whatever it is. And it's like, then you expect to implement something and have the weight come off in a matter of
Well, that was like the pregnancy
weeks,
thing.
months.
You're pregnant for 10 months and you want it to fall off in one.
Right. Like, good luck. Yeah.
Like, no, you're pregnant for 10 months and then it'll probably take you 10 to 12 months to get it off and be back, because it's a long process both ways.
And they just get like traumatized looking at this quote unquote long journey, when potentially for most people it's not going to be that much more from 6 months to a year if you're really dialed and really consistent.
And it's not a long journey because the time
in
passes.
the grand scheme of life, like who fucking cares if it takes a year? But you know where you're going to be next year from now if you
do nothing,
or you keep doing like the fads or the trends literally
further
backward.
away. Yes,
you're going to be in square one.
Exactly.
That's it. So it's like, take this quote unquote slower route, learn, practice, implement, and then once you get all of your weight off, you're going to be able to stay there forever, as opposed to bringing it all back. And that's the issue that I have with all of these, like the Ozempics and all the GLP-1s. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course there's a time and place for them, 1000%, disclaimer, blah, blah, blah. But like, it's the thing, they should come with a nutrition coach, because what we're seeing here, people aren't eating enough protein because number one,
they're not hit a chord with me.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they're losing all of this lean mass. They also don't know how to build a healthy plate. So either they have to be on it forever, still being, you know, from some numbers perspective, they're healthier. And yes, of course, from a weight perspective, but still knowing nothing about nutrition and nothing about how to live a healthy lifestyle, and nothing about balance. Yep. I hate the whole thing. It gets rid of the food noise. That's what everyone's like claim to fame is. Yeah. Everybody says it no matter who you ask. Do they even know what the fuck that means?
Right.
You can also do that by developing a healthy relationship with food. You're not developing a healthy relationship with food here.
You're just shutting it down.
You just don't have an appetite.
Exactly. That's what the food noise is called, your hunger cues. So now you don't have hunger cues, and now you're not eating the protein. Now, not only are you losing muscle mass, I have seen women lose so much hair, like chunks of hair,
saggy face. You know, they call it Ozempic face.
Yeah,
no matter whether on
losing
Ozempic
so
or
much so quickly,
or whatever.
Yes, you're losing so much so quickly. You're not supposed to lose the weight that quickly, and you're not supposed to lose that much muscle mass.
It's funny that you said that though, because honestly, it's not that much quicker than if someone was in a consistent calorie deficit. And that's also what people don't realize. They think it's so quick because it's all these people that have been overweight for so long, and now you see this huge change. Oh my God. But actually the average, and they're like, this is what I've heard. Of course, this isn't like a direct quote, but what I have heard from the doctors that I've listened to, an average is around a half a pound to potentially 2, if you have more to lose, a week, which is also the average in sustainable, consistent calorie deficit.
But what happens is, like, I have seen the people who abuse the drug, who really take too much and shut off their appetite completely, because I'm very big in the bariatric community. My brand is, and I was at an event once, and we were giving out little protein waffles made with my protein.
Yeah.
And one of the
Those
women,
look so good, by the way.
they're so
I saw
good.
your cheese stick thing the other day.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna, yeah. And so I said, hey, would you like a sample of the protein waffle? Now, a serving makes 2, and it was just like 10 grams of protein, and it was like this tiny little thing. And she was like, no, I just took my shot, and I usually don't eat for the first 3 days.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? And I was like, what?
That just makes me sad.
And I was like, I was going to say,
Can't
I
even
actually
enjoy
felt
food
sick.
anymore.
And I was like, okay. And she's drinking her coffee, and she's like, no, I just drink coffee. I don't have an appetite the first 3 days. Meanwhile, her hair is falling out. Like, she looked terrible. She's hanging. And I said, what about like muscle and protein? She's like, I'll worry about that later. I just need to lose this weight.
They don't care.
And I'm like, what do you mean you'll worry about it later?
Or like, I need this as a revamp, or for what? You've never learned to begin with. So that's another thing. It's like here's another thing. People think that they know what to do and they don't. I can't tell you how many consult calls that I have where everyone's like, where so many women are like, I know what to do, I just don't do it. I'm like, but do you?
Right.
And it's like, and obviously I'm not trying to like fuck with them or be funny. Like, it's a serious conversation. I'm like, but do you? And then they laugh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're laughing because you know that I know that I'm right, because you actually don't.
Right.
You know what you learned a million years ago. You know what you think
you're
supposed to do, and you don't. And that's why you're coming to me.
Right. And a lot of times, like, there is I have a friend who's a coach, and she'll say to me all the time, like, Dana, what worked for you in your past is not going to work now. Well, yeah, when I was younger, like, things were different. And now that I'm older, like, my hormones are coming into play. I'm more tired, and my body's in a different spot.
It worked in terms of what? Like what? Like context?
I used to get away with not eating as many fats. Like, I kind of did, because I was competing. So like on a competition diet, when you're leaning out, like, you're not really.
I'm so curious, but like, we need to have a side conversation. We have to go for drinks. I'm so curious about that life.
Yeah, and the life wasn't healthy.
Right.
Did it work as far as leaning me out? Yes, but
like, so much disordered eating.
Right. Was I really eating enough fats? Was I getting in enough carbs? Was I really filling out my muscles the way I should have? Or was I just staying super lean because I was doing photo shoots and competing?
Right.
And was that good for my health? So meaning, like, because I'd say like, oh, it used to work. It'd keep me. And she's like, but was it working? Like, was it really what you were supposed to be doing? Because then I'd like tally up the fats, and I was like, okay, I was having like 15 grams of fats a day. Like, that's not, Right. But so the thing is, if I did that now in my 40s, which I was trying to do, it screwed my hormones, my thyroid crashed, and it was like, whoa, this isn't working anymore. Like, you can't.
Fun. Like,
and it's not fun.
Like that.
And it's not fun, but it's like, it's what I knew, because these were the diets that were given to me while I was competing. And then I was like, okay, I just want to be lean again. So like, I'm going to go back to that diet. Well, it's like, well, that's not the diet that you should live on. And that's not a healthy diet. And that's not going to keep my hair and my skin and my eyes and my nails and all the things that need to stay healthy. I'm not feeding my body with the nutrients or my thyroid or like things that are deeper, not just like my aesthetic, but meaning like what's going on inside. And I was tired all the time. And, and so now, and the other thing is, it's building my metabolism, the reverse dieting. I got away with eating, calories and losing all those years. Everything stopped because my metabolism slowed down because I was eating so little for so many years.
See, everyone listening, like, this is a clear form of someone that really does have to do a reverse diet. And that's like really big in the bodybuilding
and I did
world,
it.
right?
I did it. Right.
But so many mainstream people
think they need to do that.
They're like, should I reverse diet? Maybe I'm not eating enough. And
right.
It's usually not the case.
No, I stayed like lean and shredded for a lot of years, and it was time to build back.
Right. Like, you're one of those people that like your maintenance was so low. It was in a deficit first.
Yes.
So you couldn't even go into more of a deficit. So you had to bring it back up to that.
And guess what? I did it. I did it correctly.
And that takes years,
and
right?
it took me a long time. And then it's like I got up till, God, I was eating in the 2000s, and I was still looking great and staying lean and having like the best workouts of my life, having energy. I never thought I could. I thought it was just life was just, I was just tired.
Yeah.
I thought that was life. And then I realized, oh my God, like, look at all these carbs I can eat. Look at all the fats and
it's amazing.
It opened up a whole new world for me. And I realized I could still have a phenomenal body eating that much. But you have to trust the process. A lot of women don't want to trust the process.
This is also, you have these issues too with women that don't have weight to lose, and they obsess over these vanity pounds, whether it's 3 to 10 pounds, depending on how tall you are. And my answer is always like, do you want to have pizza night with your kids? Like, do you want to go out for cocktails with the girlfriends? Because like, if you want to cut all of that out, then you can lose those vanity pounds. Like your body is healthy where it is. So it's like, do you really want to go? They have some of these women obsess of just being like that much smaller, which by the way, no one else would notice except for them, probably most likely. And it's like, in order to not only get that off, but keep that off, it's like we hold on, you know, so there's obviously everyone's like in different phases, but that's another thing that I hear a lot about and that a lot of women are struggling with mentally. And it's like, what's it worth to you? Like, yeah, I would technically probably love to be another 5 to 10 pounds down. In order for me to do that, I would not be able to enjoy any of my favorite things ever because I'm literally 4'11",
right?
You know, with lots of curves. And it's like that for a time period, I thought that was important to me. And now, of course, later and, you know, be in my older years, like that's not a priority for me. Like I look fit, I feel good, my body is healthy, I have shit tons of energy at 40 years old with 2 kids. And it's like, I'd rather eat the fucking pizza and have the martini.
Yes. Well, that's
not
how
all the time,
like,
everybody. Don't misconstrue the words.
No,
sometimes.
I have my last weekend on Saturday, we went to the diner and we all had like pancakes and omelets and toast and like we had a fun family day, and like that was I ate and I enjoyed and I wasn't worried about it. Like, no, if I really wanted to be shredded years ago, I wouldn't have probably done that.
Right.
Because I was
and then it was
so
just back to
worried.
regular schedules programming the next day.
That's
you know,
it.
I can't tell you probably got this all the time too. If I'm eating something in front of people, right? Like we're at pasta. She's eating that.
Yeah.
How are you eating that? And I'm like, because this is what I promote.
Yes,
you know,
it's
like
not the norm. I don't want to eat every single night.
Exactly. But it's like, yes, you can have the freedom to do this too. And this is part of that, developing the healthy relationship with food, which is such a huge part of this process.
Right.
And it's very hard for people, which I don't blame them. It's hard.
And letting go of like that, like thinking you have to be like perfect all the time to feel great. Like you don't.
That's the other thing. It's like, and I'm not even going to say, what's that like cliche? Like progress over perfection. That's a big one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, progress, of course, but consistency. Like I would rather you all get a B+ consistently than an A+ a little bit of the time and then F the most of the time. Because if you're shooting for A+, you're not going to be able to maintain that level.
Yep.
So it's like this slower approach is always going to be the faster way to gains or losses, I should say, because that's the one you're going to stay consistent with.
And keeps you sane. Like, if you try to be so perfect all week, that's why they say, like, if you try to be perfect, it will set you up for that ultimate binge
fest.
That like you didn't need.
I hate that word.
Like we went out to the diner and like it wasn't a binge fest. It was I ate a chocolate chip pancake. I had a big feta cheese omelet. I took half home because I was like, this thing is huge. We had some home fries, and then I was like, okay, and like I kind of like sat back. I was like, okay, am I full? Am I feeling? And then I was like, all right, we'll put the rest in the box. Like I didn't feel like I had to sit there and gorge myself because like, oh my God, I'm like, I like all week I'm starving and now like I just want to like ravage myself.
Right,
like
it's that balance mentality. You have guidelines, restrictions, sacrifices, rules, but it's balanced. It's a balanced approach. So you don't feel the need to do that. Oh my God. It's like, I have chills every time I think about like my younger self, like having these cheat, which I never use that word anymore. I always use treat over cheat. These days where like I was eating like I was going to the fucking electric chair. I swear to God. It was like the Chinese food, the pizza. Oh, well, I already fucked up. I might as well have now a cheeseburger and french fries. And I would literally be
am I talking to me? Am I talking to myself? This is so weird.
Well, and then crying, then waking up Monday morning, going to the gym, working out for 4 hours.
Cycle.
I mean, it's so exhausting. And this is why I became a coach, because I was like, I have to teach as many women as I humanly possibly can
to get off the crazy train. Get off that train. Yes. Get off the train. Like that's exactly when I started this podcast. That was like the first, like the teaser episode, it was like, do you ever feel like you're on this like crazy train?
Oh my
God.
God.
I said like, I'm here to like preach, like this is a lifestyle.
Yes.
And it's like, you're not supposed to be like killing yourself all week, then gorging yourself on the weekends, then trying to get back on track, starting on Monday. It's like, oh my God.
We're jumping around to
exhausting.
different methods. Like, so I have these group challenges that I host 3 times a year. I actually have one coming up in October, and they're just like so much fun because it's like bigger groups of people and like we get really into it and it's like really community driven. And
I love that. Like having support and
it's amazing. And like, you know, we're learning and talking about all the things. And now I just totally forgot what I was going to say. What did you just say?
We were talking about you're talking about your support group and like the getting off the crazy train and all these people like what? that you had events 4 times a year?
I know, but I was gonna. Oh, can we? Fuck! But I had a
That's
thought
okay.
that I was gonna go with this, and what was
Well,
it?
we're on such a roll. Well, that's okay. Anyway,
Okay.
well, tell me
Anyway,
about
we
this
can
event. What is the challenge? Maybe I'll jump in. What's the challenge?
I would love for you to. So basically, I wanted to be able to help more people at a lower price point. So I started these group challenges like right after COVID.
Okay.
And I basically have this like insane packet of like everything from like daily guidelines to different types of goals to how to track your progress. And it's like just this really meaty, beautiful, amazingly branded packet. Shout out to this Taylor who works with me, who makes everything amazing. But anyway, then we have it all housed in this Facebook group where I do like live Q&As. People are posting what they're eating on the reg. I do cooking segments. I do grocery hauls. And it's really just like a fun way to learn all the things. And we go into it all. And they're just really, really incredible months where like it's very eye-opening to so many of these women. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Sorry,
Okay, yeah.
This is going to have to be cut out because now I'm going back.
It's totally fine. Like,
I
people
was
are
gonna say
so
progress
understanding.
no, I said the consistency. I don't fucking know.
Okay, well,
even know where I was
whatever.
going with
We're
that.
still on a roll. You're telling me about
I'll think of it at some
It's a
point.
challenge.
It's called a challenge. Yes, I call it like my challenges, and I have them 3 times a year. October, because like for that, like, you know, getting into hibernation mode, and then obviously
Yep.
January and May. And
Yes.
they're really fun. We have a blast. But I have people that have been with me since day one. New people coming in, but like people keep coming back because it's all about the repetition,
Yep.
the refreshing, and also like being in different stages. You have your fat loss stage and you have your maintenance stage, and they're both completely different beasts on their own, you know, in different ways.
But the thing that they all have in common is being consistent.
Yes.
And
Consistency
also
is key.
Consistency is key. That's been the key word in my life, which I've realized, like, being consistent and just keep showing up. And even every day isn't going to be a great day. And like we talked about last time with motivation, it's like just getting out there and doing it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is like so many people with their nutrition or their workouts always think like that all or one, all or nothing, the black or white thinking. That was my issue for years. I felt like if I couldn't get in the perfect workout, I wasn't going to do it. If I couldn't eat the perfect meal, screw it. Like, I'll just eat whatever. And now I've realized that, like, and I've talked about this on other podcasts before, but it's something that I just love, reminding my listeners. Every day isn't going to be perfect. And especially like in our busy lives, you get wrenches thrown into your plans. You know, even
Shit happens. Life happens.
you and I talk
There's
about putting
never
everything into a
perfect
calendar.
time.
Like, I have to like rearrange my calendar all the time. Sometimes I plan to take a class, I gotta cancel it, or I want to do cardio, or I want to walk outside and it starts storming sideways, and I'm like, okay, I guess the walk isn't happening. Or last night we were gonna go to Taco Tuesday at the clubhouse because I didn't want to cook, and we got there and they were like, oh, there's no more Taco Tuesday.
Oh no.
And I was
That's
like,
so
and
sad.
all my kids and I were like, what?
happens to
Like, we were
Taco
going to do it as a
Tuesday.
family. Like, we were
Yeah.
all excited to go. And so I get home and I'm like, okay, I don't have a dinner prepared. I didn't have anything prepared. I mean, I had, I kind of like dwindled down all my food because I was going to do like a big prep tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So meanwhile, I'm going in the freezer and I'm taking out like frozen, like those chicken nugget chunks you can get at Costco in the bags,
Yeah.
putting those in the air fryer. Then I found some like sweet potato fry things, put those in the air fryer.
Right.
Then I'm taking out apples. I'm cutting apples. I take out all the vegetables. I make like this like little like dip salad thing for my kids. I make a little fruit platter. Like every night, it's you don't have to be perfect.
Okay,
I was like,
and
here,
you
everybody.
just hit it too. Like you just hit it because it's so ingrained in you, obviously. But it's like you have your components.
Yes.
We have the protein. We have the fiber,
Yes.
and we have the complex carbohydrates. And that's another thing, the carb thing. It's like, when can we get around this carb thing that you can eat carbs
Yes.
and drive fat loss and be healthy and also be so much fucking happier, because a life without carbs is a really sad one.
Why does everybody want to cut out carbs? I don't know, in the first place.
First of all, they don't understand why they feel like they have more weight on them when they have carbohydrates. And the reasoning is because per gram, carbs hold on to more water. So it's
Yes.
like, pour water on this table.
By the way, it's
take a piece-
carbohydrate, which is water.
Right. That's a good one.
Just saying.
I might steal that. You take a piece of bread, you put it in the water. What's going to happen? The bread is going to explode. It's the same thing in your stomach. So it's like, I'm sure you can attest to this. In your bodybuilding days, is that what it's called? Bodybuilding?
Yeah.
Like showmanship,
Carbohydrates make you look amazing, by the way. They
Yeah,
fill out
okay.
your glycogen in your muscles and they make
so
you look
yes.
harder
Okay,
and
from that perspective,
sexier.
yes. But from like, and you wanted that like pump, but from like a regular person's perspective, you will hold on to more water weight from a scale perspective.
I was going to say,
and
so
that
your number
fucks
on the
with people's-
scale?
Right, but you know that fucks
Meanwhile,
with
if you look in the
heads.
mirror, you probably look better.
Exactly.
In fact, you do look better.
Well, this is why you always see those, befores and afters on like Instagram or whatever, where it's like, this is the person at the same weight, but they look like completely ripped in one
I
over
once
the other.
tried
or a
keto.
similar one.
I once tried keto, like, I don't know if it was like 2 years back. I don't know what it was, but like one of my friends had done it. And then I was like, you know what? I want to speak on it, but I don't speak on things that I've never done.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to do keto for like 10 weeks, 12 weeks. I'm just going to like see what happens.
That's a
Because I had
lot
never
of
done
time.
it.
Yeah.
Well, because I was like, I'm going to give it a go, really
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
whatever. Dude, I had like
You were
Excuse me,
so
I had like
pissed all the
no
time.
ass, like everything deflated because I eat carbs. I eat oatmeal. Last night I went like with the meal I made with my family. We made these like little mini potatoes
Yeah.
and like lean ground beef. Like it was just a mosh posh. I eat carbs and I love carbs and I love the way that my legs get hard, my body gets hard. I look really good with carbs and like you said, women are scared of carbs.
And yes, higher carbohydrate foods do come along with higher calories, but that's really
But
why
so do
people
fats.
exactly
Keto, I barely
But
ate.
that's why it's like when you're overeating them, just like when you're overeating anything, it's like carbs don't make you fat. Too many carbs can potentially make you fat. Just like chips don't make you fat.
A
Too
gram
many
of
chips make you
carbs
fat.
is 4 calories. A gram of fat is 9 calories.
Yes.
You can eat more carbs than you can fats. So when you're on keto, you actually for every gram of fat you're having 9 calories. So keto adds up even faster than eating carbs.
But you're losing water weight at the same time.
You're
so
losing
it's like,
water
yeah,
weight.
exactly.
Okay,
It's
great.
like
Go
either
sit in a
here or there.
sauna. Like, stop.
Exactly.
Like,
go work out with a garbage bag.
it's like, oh my God. And then like the carbs, I went on this keto and like I would be like, ew, I just looked flat. My butt looked flat. My legs looked flat. I couldn't get like a nice pump. And like the thing is like, even though if you're not a bodybuilder or you're not a fitness person or you're not lifting weights or whatever, it's still going into your like you're storing glycogen in your muscles. It's still going to make you look like a saggy pancake if you take out the carbs. And if you put carbs in, I'm not telling you need to you don't need to like load with 300 grams of carbs. Nobody said that.
But like they round out the meal. They also make you more satiated so that you're not then in the pantry having so many more carbs and calories than you would have if you just take the fucking portion of
the
potatoes.
carbs. If you had just eaten the carbs, right?
Yes, just eat the small portion. And someone's going to say, well, what's a small portion? It's like, okay, I'll give you a good rule of thumb for most people out there, right? If you are like 150 pounds or less, I think around when you're going into fat loss phase, a good rule of thumb, potatoes, pasta, rice is like 3/4 of a cup. And some people would probably fucking fall over here and be saying that is so much. Meanwhile, you don't know what you're getting on the back end, on like when they're with the snacks and
oh my God,
they look at that. They're like,
you
I
end up
won't
in
eat
your
that.
pantry
But
eating like a bag of chips.
and then if you're like 150 or higher, I think a little bit more, a cup and a quarter, a cup and a half. Some can get up to, it all depends. Everybody's different. Of course, there's no perfect science to it, but there is like these little things that you can go off over. It's like, okay, every time you have something more starchy, just have a freaking 3/4 of a cup of it. A cup. It's going to be like 250 calories.
And if you just like
whatever.
eat these balanced meals, like I've been really trying to, years ago when I did the bodybuilding thing, there were so many I did so many like diet plans with my shows to like manipulate the carbs and the fats and the carb cycling and the high days and the low days. And I was like, I always had to keep track. Like every meal now, I'm like, okay, what's the carb and what's the fat and what's the protein? I'm like, that's exactly how I feed my children.
1000%.
So I knew like last night, I was like, okay, I'm going to throw like the chicken in. I have like some sweet potato fry things for them. And then I did the fruit, the vegetables, and whatever else I could pull out from the fridge. Like we had like.
And once again, you're setting a good example of what a proper meal looks like, right? So it's like, even if the kids are having mac and cheese, great. They still need some protein with it. They still need some sort of plant with it. And that's it.
Right. Make it colorful. Like that was the other thing. Like I put out like a really pretty plate of like fresh fruit and they're all grabbing and you make it look like fun. But that's how we should eat too. Like your plate should look pretty and like you should have different and like the variety. A lot of times people just like get into their ruts and it's like, don't be afraid to like try a new vegetable, like saute some eggplant. Like,
and also like that also leads into like the eating schedule, because so many people skip meals because they think skipping on meals is not going to backfire later on, which it always does 110% of the time. So it's like, look at it like you would look at your children. Would you ever leave your children without food for a 6-hour period? No. Why? Because they would become ravenous. Why? Because then they would overeat on fucking crap. Why? Because
and have
it's
a meltdown
not healthy
and cry.
For them.
And that's
would
what
you
I do.
ever give your kids a snack the minute before they went to bed because they said they were hungry? No, you'd be like, no, fucking go to sleep. Like,
no, because you should have had a great dinner.
And you know that they're not really hungry. They just want a snack. I always give my kids the apple test or the fruit test.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, if you're really hungry, then you can have an apple or banana. They're like, no, I'm good. I'm going to bed. It's like, okay, exactly. And sometimes they will take it. And I'm like, okay, now they had a fruit. Who cares? Great. They had some extra fiber.
But the thing is like if they had a great dinner, just like if you had a great well-rounded dinner, you wouldn't be hungry. You'd have had your fats, your carbs, your protein. You have a great dinner. You can shut off the kitchen lights and go upstairs and
many people also don't know the difference between hunger and just mindless eating, you know, because that's really part of it. And late at night is a huge thing, which is why I really recommend everyone having some sort of cap, and also in terms of time, and it doesn't have to be the same time every night, but you need a bookend, because if you don't, and if it's just open-ended and you're not setting this guideline in place, then you're leaving it up to the universe, you know? Get the fuck out of the kitchen, go upstairs, call a friend, read a book, masturbate, like whatever.
Just keep yourself busy. Sex. Get out of the damn kitchen.
You're welcome.
We always walk the dog like after a meal and then before bed. It's like we take the dog for a lap, and I can really like assess like, do I really need anything else, or like you need that separation from the kitchen. If you're just hanging out there, you're gonna like wind up doing
1,000%. Now that I moved to a house with an actual floor, I'm like, this is amazing. Because like in the city, I'd be like, I could maybe a little popcorn, you know, whatever. Like, I could afford to do it and I would still watch my portions. But now once I'm upstairs, I'm done. Like there's no way I'm going all the way downstairs. It's not happening.
No, I know. And it's
so yes, don't like control your environment. Do not let the environment control you. I don't care if your kids want it. If you have something that's triggering to you in the house, get it the fuck out. Like you have to take control over your destiny. You can't leave it. No one's asking you to be a superhero and like be on The Biggest Loser and like wave like fucking treats in front of your face. And I'm not saying don't have treats. I have something like this method that I call the BID, a built-in dessert, that I recommend everyone having something small every single night.
Oh, that's what I do.
Right? Because it teaches you that you can make progress, but you learn how to do it in a way where you're just having something small where you can actually enjoy it instead of like looking at it as something that's like guilty or my guilty pleasure. I fucking hate that term. It's so dumb. It just automatically like brings negativity into it. It's like, why do I have to feel guilty for having some chocolate or a little ice cream? But it's like the more you practice this, the more then over time, you might not even want it anymore, you know? And there's a difference between want and need. I need something sweet. You don't need, you want. And that's fine. Right. But you have to distinguish the difference because you're putting the control in the hands of the food. And you're never going to win long term if you continue to do that.
It's true. Wow. That's good. Damn. Yeah, I mean... Okay. I had another thing I wanted to ask you. You were on a roll there, and I was just like, I fell into your trance of like, I'm like, is she yelling at me about this? Because I feel like she sees me. She knows at night. I'm like, I just need my dessert.
Yeah.
Last night I was totally back in the kitchen for a dessert. I did go to bed thinking I'd had enough, and then I was like, and I had a scoop of my brownie batter protein, and I put some popcorners in it. But like,
I can't wait to try your protein. By
so
the way.
good.
Thank you for the gift.
Oh, you're gonna love it. I mean, I hope you love it. I think and we just launched our new holiday flavor today.
So exciting!
The gingerbread flavor coming out. Shoot, I was gonna bring.
I
you
saw
a packet
some
of
cute
that.
reel that you did.
Yeah,
that was like holidays are coming.
Yes, we had a whole like a teaser for the protein. Yeah, so we announced it today. It's the gingerbread, and it's gonna be fun because I've been drinking gingerbread lattes, like my protein lattes.
Oh, that's so good. You know, because people still love that in Florida, though. It's so hard for me to like conceptualize like the season change. I'm so happy I never have to be in cold weather.
Florida's weird because it'll be like. Because I went to University of Miami, so I left New Jersey to go to Miami Hurricanes. And then, it was so weird because like my first winter, I was like walking in like shorts out from the gym, and the palm trees all had like Christmas lights. Yeah, and I was like,
I'm in an alternate universe right now.
So weird. And I was like, this is so weird. Like it feels like it should be cold. Yeah. But it's like warm and there's Christmas stuff. And like, why are these people acting all like holiday-ish when like this does not feel holiday.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
Yeah.
Like it's, now I'm used
so
to
here
it.
for it all. If I even like see snow now and like, not now, I've always hated the cold. So I always knew Florida was my calling.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I
Right?
get to live in more. Oh my God.
It's like-
such an energy shift.
And it's, I mean,
waking up seeing the sunrise instead of a brick building right next to me is just like the biggest game changer.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, it's
really nice.
amazing.
Yeah, New York City can be rough in the winter.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I
rough.
grew up there, and I go back quite
Yeah.
often. We still have family business up there, and whatever. And like, I'll go up there, and I'm like, oh my God. But I just want everyone to know, for the record, I was lean and fit up in New Jersey. Like, it was not just because then people will say, oh, it's
Amen.
because you're fit because you live in Florida and it's warm weather
Yeah.
all year. Like, no, it was freezing. And guess what? I did cardio in a cashmere sweater.
Yeah.
Because like I was so cold, but I was
Yeah.
like, I'm still gonna get up and do my shit. I'm still gonna have abs in Jersey in the winter.
Before I was a coach and had the amazing flexibility to make my own schedule, I had a regular 9 to 5. And guess what? I got up either at the crack of dawn or I went after work,
awesome.
which sucked because who the hell wants to trek their ass to the gym
in the dark,
at
in the
6:30
cold.
p.m. in the freezing cold? And same thing when I had my kids. I'm not saying I'm any better than anybody listening. I am not. We are all the same. It's just how the way that you prioritize and if it's a priority to you.
Yeah. And once you figure it out, it's like a puzzle. It's your it's like,
Yes.
and then it'll click. And then if you're like, yes, like that time for my workout works great, and then I can get this done and that done, and like we said in the last episode, like take a real look at your schedule, and you'll probably find a lot of dead space that you're just wasting that you can rearrange things.
Yep. Everyone right now is like, they're like right now, and I'm just sitting here. I don't know. Hopefully everyone's on a walk.
I say it to my mom all the time, like she'll be like, well, because I didn't do my cardio in the morning. And I'm like, Mom, you were online sending me stuff on Instagram. Like
Right.
I know what you were doing in the morning. Like you were just scrolling your phone. So
Yeah.
how about you do that, but like get on the treadmill and, or whatever.
Or even just like if someone doesn't have a treadmill, they have a bike, just pedal your legs. Like all the movement matters in terms of health and wellness, all around health and wellness and fat loss. It all matters and it all adds up.
It
And
really
that's the other
does.
thing. It's like you also have to take a longevity approach to nutrition and fitness. It cannot be a right now. So if you do not see yourself being able to stick with something for more than a month, 6 months, a year, then that is not the program for you, because you're spending all this time wasting it on doing it one way when you're going to have to go to the more realistic way on the back end. Either way.
I feel like if your plan has like a name or a gimmick, or it's part of like
It's a shtick.
It's a shtick, and it's not going to last you forever. So it's like, learn from a coach, like somebody like you who's a nutrition coach, to teach you lifestyle,
Yes.
long-term.
Yes. All the non-sexy, non-trendy shit.
Yep.
Like, oh, eat more vegetables, drink more water, take more steps. Like, yeah, this is your golden fucking ticket right here.
Yeah. And if you feel that you need a coach to help you with that, that's great. That's fine. That's exactly what people like Rachel are here for. Like, they're here to teach you a way to make it work. Maybe talk through it with you. If you're really having a hard time, like, I don't like this. I don't know how to do that. Okay, well,
Get guidance.
Guidance.
And there's so many, like online coaching is so huge these days. So I do understand how it's hard to like differentiate. And obviously, and if you think it's not in your budget, there's coaches at every single budget. Reach out to people, get their vibe on their page, ask questions. But this is something important. It's just as important as therapy.
Yeah.
In a different way.
And
I know
find
someone's going to be
somebody
like,
who,
no,
resonates
that's not.
with
Why
you.
would you say that? But
Like
it's like, it is.
Yes. Like, find somebody who resonates with like your beliefs. Like, if
Yes,
you're like,
who
I
is
love what
relatable.
she's saying, I love it.
Yes.
And if you want somebody who has kids and gets it, find a coach who maybe had to juggle the kids and gets your pain, so that
Yes.
maybe you're on the same page.
You want to be able to relate to someone, know? I get a lot too. Like, oh, easy coming from a teeny, tiny, skinny person. Which, like,
Yeah.
first of all, I would never call myself, I know I'm like fit and thin, but I don't know how skinny. Anyway, but I'm like, first of all, you don't even fucking know what I went through. Like, I used to be 30 pounds heavier at 4'11", and forget about the fact that like I didn't like the way that I looked, because I didn't. I didn't like the way that I looked. That I didn't like the way that I felt.
Yeah.
I was lethargic. I couldn't fit into my clothes. I was self-conscious. I was insecure.
It's about quality of life.
Yes, it's like
you owe that to yourself. Quality of life, like
feeling like shit.
It's so funny. People will say to me, like, if they'll ask me for nutrition advice or live, and then they'll like always preface like, well, I don't have to be like a fitness model or anything. And I'm like, okay, first of all, don't worry.
Yeah.
And second of all, like,
not easy.
This isn't about being a fitness model. This is about like quality of life.
Yes.
Like, how do you feel? So
right.
I'll give you tips on like just feeling better, functioning better. Like the modeling that I've done or the competing that I've done, that's like icing on the cake. Like those are things that's gravy. That's stuff that I got to do once I nailed the basics so hard.
And that's something that the majority of the population would never be able to do, and that's okay.
But if you can nail the foundation hard, yeah, then sky's the limit. Like once I nailed all that so well that I could manipulate my body then to other levels. But like you've got to have the foundation before,
and you have to be open to unlearning and being okay with that, because again, like if nothing has ever worked long term for you and you're consistently struggling, you don't know better. You don't know, and you need to find someone that does.
It's okay to admit
to figure it out. You know, exactly. Like it's okay, because it's hard and it is confusing, and you know, some people do click with it easier than others, obviously, just like anybody.
Well,
you know,
it takes a lot of like trial and error, and you don't expect yourself to be perfect all
and
the time.
trusting the process, as you said before.
Trusting
you have to trust the process, which is very hard for people to do. Because it's also like you're trying to, you know, and this is something that like stems from like Atomic Habits and, you know, which is just such an amazing book. And I think everybody should read it because anybody can relate to it no matter what you're talking about. But just, it's like, you're not going to trust yourself to be able to succeed off the bat, because it's like trying to identify with this version of yourself that you don't know. So like there is going to be a lot of times of discomfort where you're like questioning things or like doubting yourself, which is also part of the process. But pushing through that, as opposed to just being like, fuck it, I'm never going to do it and fail. You know, the only way that you fail is if you quit. That's it.
That's it. That's it. And I think of myself like, God, where would I be if I just quit every time I wanted to quit? Like, I certainly wouldn't be here. There were a million times things got hard. Things got uncomfortable. I had to make sacrifices. I had to be uncomfortable and wake up when I didn't want to, or, you know, get through workouts I didn't want to do or whatever. But it's like,
yeah, you got to take that chance. I always think about that with my business, because I was so scared to leave my job because I was like coaching on the side. I was terrified. I mean, love my parents, but my parents were even like, what are you doing? This is the dumbest decision. And thank God, I mean, my husband was so supportive, and thank God I didn't listen to anybody who was with the negativity, and I just pushed through. But in my head, I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do this. How am I going to make a lifestyle out of this? How am I going to, and it's like, now it's 4 years later and I've never looked back. Like, we have to approach these things if you want it badly enough, and you just know that you're stuck in this cycle of frustration.
Yep. Well, this was amazing. This will be a to be continued, Rachel. We have to have you back.
I would love to.
Yeah, you and I have a lot more to talk about, more topics, and and there's just so much more there. So this was great.
This was amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
And you'll report back next time. Like, you'll try all the devotion, and then we'll get some feedback from you.
Yes.
So
I can't wait.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of Until It's Done, a Devoted podcast.